In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. There are moments in life when the room grows quiet, not because the world has stopped talking, but because Allah has chosen to remove the noise. Moments when familiar faces disappear, conversations fade, and the heart feels strangely alone even in a crowded place. Many people see isolation as punishment, as rejection, as loss. But what if that silence is not abandonment? What if it is divine attention? What if Allah isolates certain hearts not to break them but to prepare them? Throughout history, Allah did not shape His chosen servants in crowds. He shaped them in solitude, in stillness, in moments where only He remained. Today we reflect on why Allah isolates the chosen, and why only a few truly understand what is happening when Allah removes the world from someone's life. When Allah isolates a person, it is often because their heart has become too dependent on people instead of the Creator. Allah gently removes the distractions so the heart can relearn where true reliance belongs. In isolation, the soul is forced to turn inward and upward. The tears that were once shared with people are now shared only with Allah. The dua that was once rushed becomes sincere. This separation is not cruelty, it is mercy, because Allah wants the heart to be attached to Him alone, free from disappointment in creation. Allah also isolates the chosen because growth requires clarity, and clarity is rarely born in noise. When everyone has access to your thoughts, your emotions, and your plans, your vision becomes blurred. Isolation sharpens intention. It allows a person to hear their own conscience again, to distinguish between who they truly are and who they became trying to please others. In this quiet, Allah realigns the soul with its purpose, stripping away false identities until only truth remains. Another reason Allah isolates the chosen is to protect them from harm they cannot yet see. Not every loss is a loss. Some are divine rescues. Some relationships end not because you failed, but because Allah saw what staying would cost you. Isolation is sometimes Allah closing doors before damage enters. What feels like rejection is often protection, and what feels like loneliness is Allah removing those who would weaken your iman, drain your spirit, or delay your destiny. Allah also uses isolation as a purification process. In solitude, weaknesses surface, unresolved wounds speak, and hidden intentions are exposed. This is where tawbah becomes real, not because people are watching, but because the soul can no longer hide from itself. Allah refines the heart in private before He ever elevates a person in public. The pain felt in isolation is often the pain of transformation, the discomfort of becoming someone stronger, cleaner, and more sincere. Isolation is also where Allah trains leadership of the soul. Before Allah entrusts a person with influence, responsibility, or guidance over others, He teaches them how to stand alone. A heart that collapses without people cannot carry the weight of amana. In isolation, Allah teaches patience, self-control, and emotional independence. The chosen learn to draw strength from faith, not validation, and confidence from obedience, not applause. Finally, Allah isolates the chosen because intimacy with Him requires space. Deep connection cannot exist when the heart is overcrowded. In isolation, Allah speaks to the heart in ways that words cannot explain. The chosen begin to recognize Allah's signs, feel His nearness, and trust His timing. What others see as loneliness becomes sacred companionship. And when Allah eventually reintroduces people into that person's life, they return transformed, grounded, and unshakable, carrying a light that could only be formed in the quiet. The first step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen begins with the heart's relationship to people and creation. Many of us live most of our lives relying on the presence, approval, and support of others. We build our sense of worth around recognition, our peace around acceptance, and our joy around company. And yet, as long as the heart leans on creation, it is vulnerable to disappointment, hurt, and betrayal. People change, circumstances shift, and what was once a source of comfort can become a source of pain. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes removes the people from our lives, not to punish us, but to teach the heart the greatest lesson it can ever learn, that true strength, true security, and true love are found only in Him. When Allah begins this process of isolation, the first sensations are often confusion and sorrow. The people we relied upon, the friendships we cherished, the support systems we took for granted, suddenly they are no longer present. At first the heart questions, why am I left alone? Or have I done something wrong? These questions are natural, for the human soul fears emptiness. But this very emptiness is where Allah begins His quiet work. In solitude, the distractions fall away. There are no voices competing for attention, no expectations to meet, and no need to perform or please anyone. The soul begins to turn inward, and more importantly, upward. This is the phase where tawakkul, complete reliance on Allah, is born. When a person has nobody to lean on, no hand to hold, no shoulder to cry on, they are gently forced to extend their trust to the one who never abandons. The heart learns that while people may fail, Allah's presence never falters. In the silence of isolation, dua becomes sincere, heartfelt, and intimate. The tears that were once shared with friends or family are now shared only with Allah. The heart, once dependent on fleeting companionship, begins to understand that its ultimate support is not from creation, but from the Creator. This stage also teaches patience and endurance. Being alone is not easy. The heart may feel heavy, the mind restless, and the spirit restless. Yet in this discomfort there is growth. Allah allows the soul to feel the weight of solitude because it is in bearing this weight that the heart strengthens. The chosen learn to survive emotionally, spiritually, and mentally without constant reassurance from others. They learn that contentment is not given by company, but by connection with Allah. And they realize that even when surrounded by people, if the heart is not connected to Him, it can still feel empty. Furthermore, this step trains the chosen to appreciate the value of relationships differently. When people return, or new connections enter life, the heart no longer clings desperately or depends blindly. Relationships are no longer crutches, but blessings to be cherished without reliance. The chosen learn to distinguish between people who add value to their journey and those whose presence may become a distraction or burden. Allah isolates not to make someone bitter or resentful, but to purify their expectations, teaching them to lean on Him first and view relationships through the lens of purpose and gratitude. Finally, this step in isolation is a profound act of mercy. Although it may feel like abandonment, it is actually Allah's protection and preparation. A heart trained to rely fully on Allah is resilient, steadfast, and unshakable. The chosen, through this solitude, become vessels of strength, capable of facing challenges, embracing trials, and walking the path of destiny without being destabilized by the unpredictability of people. Loneliness, in this light, is not a punishment, but a sacred space where the heart learns to depend only on the one who never fails, never leaves, and never deceives. In this way, the first step of isolation transforms the heart. What begins as confusion and pain slowly becomes awareness and empowerment. The chosen emerge from this stage more connected, more trusting, and more anchored in faith. Allah isolates the chosen to teach them reliance, not on the fleeting but on the eternal. And in this divine process, the heart discovers a freedom and security that can only be found in Him. The second step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen is the awakening of clarity. Clarity about the self, clarity about purpose, and clarity about what truly matters in life. While surrounded by people, it is easy for the heart to lose its direction. Opinions, expectations, and judgments of others often cloud our vision. We begin to measure our worth by how others see us rather than how Allah sees us. In the company of crowds, we unconsciously mold ourselves to fit their comfort, their preferences, and their judgments. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows that true clarity cannot flourish in noise. And so, he gently removes distractions, creating a space where the soul can finally see itself clearly. In isolation, there is no one to impress, no role to perform, and no mask to hide behind. The soul is exposed in its raw form, its fears, weaknesses, hopes, and dreams all laid bare. At first, this can feel frightening. The heart may resist facing itself, preferring the safety of illusion, pretending to be what others expect. But Allah isolates the chosen, so that pretense is no longer possible. The soul learns to confront reality, to see itself with honesty, and to understand its strengths and flaws. This is not done to humiliate, but to purify. True growth begins when the heart stops lying to itself and starts seeing the truth, even if that truth is uncomfortable. Clarity in isolation also reveals purpose. When the distractions are removed, the soul begins to understand why it exists, what it is meant to do, and the responsibilities it carries. People often get caught up in trivial pursuits, chasing approval or recognition, not realizing that their true mission lies elsewhere. Here, Allah removes the noise of life so that the chosen can hear His guidance more clearly. In this quiet priority shift, the heart begins to value sincerity over show, intention over action, and quality over quantity. Every choice becomes more deliberate, every action more meaningful, and every relationship more conscious. This step is also about recognizing the difference between attachment and dependence. Many people confuse love, friendship, and closeness with security and validation. But in isolation, the chosen learn that nothing external can truly fulfill the heart. Even the most sincere companion cannot replace the peace that comes from Allah alone. And yet this realization is not loneliness, it is awakening. The heart learns to love without attachment, to care without expectation, and to find fulfillment within, anchored in faith. Another profound lesson in this stage is the unveiling of hidden intentions. In isolation, the heart is no longer influenced by appearances or social pressure. Actions and thoughts reveal their true nature. Was kindness given to seek praise, or was it genuine? Was patience displayed to avoid criticism, or did it arise from inner strength? These questions surface when there is no audience, and the soul learns to act with purity, driven by faith rather than approval. Allah uses this phase to refine the heart, separating the authentic from the superficial. Finally, clarity brings freedom. When the chosen emerge from isolation, they no longer carry the weight of societal expectations or the chains of comparison. They move through life with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart anchored in truth. Decisions are made consciously, guided by wisdom, and not swayed by fleeting emotions or opinions. The soul, once clouded by noise, now shines with the light of understanding. This clarity is a gift, hard-earned but precious, and it equips the chosen to navigate the world with confidence, resilience, and focus. In this way, the second step of isolation transforms confusion into insight, distraction into focus, and insecurity into inner strength. Allah isolates the chosen not to punish, but to reveal what is often hidden behind the distractions of life, the self, the purpose, and the clarity to follow the path He has designed. And when this stage is complete, the heart is no longer lost. It sees the world and itself with wisdom and discernment, ready to continue the journey with intention and faith. The third step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen is the recognition of divine protection. Often, when people are removed from our lives, the heart struggles to comprehend the wisdom behind it. It feels like rejection, betrayal, or loss. Yet the reality is far deeper than our limited understanding. Allah sees what the heart cannot see. He knows the dangers, the hidden harm, and the subtle obstacles that could derail our path. What feels like abandonment is often an act of mercy. In removing certain people, Allah is shielding us from pain, disappointment, and spiritual harm that has not yet revealed itself. This stage is not easy. The heart naturally resists separation. We cling to people, seeking comfort, guidance, and reassurance. We fail to realize that sometimes the very connections we treasure most could quietly divert us from our purpose, weaken our faith, or delay the fulfillment of our destiny. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, removes these influences before they have the chance to harm the chosen. This protection is invisible, subtle, and often misunderstood. The chosen may grieve, question, or feel lonely, but every absence carries a lesson in trust and reliance on Allah. In this phase, patience becomes essential. The heart must learn to accept the unseen plan, to trust the timing and the wisdom of the Creator. Every loss, every door closed, every silence experienced is a step in a greater design that the soul cannot yet comprehend. The chosen are reminded that human understanding is limited, but divine vision is perfect. What we perceive as misfortune or separation may, in truth, be the shielding of the soul from harm we cannot yet perceive. This understanding begins to cultivate gratitude, even in moments of sorrow. Isolation in this stage also strengthens discernment. The chosen begin to recognize which relationships are aligned with their purpose and which are not. They learn to appreciate the difference between temporary companionship and those who truly add value to their spiritual journey. Some people enter our lives to teach lessons, and some depart to protect us from paths that would have led to pain or distraction. Allah, in His wisdom, orchestrates these movements to safeguard the heart, mind, and faith of the chosen. Moreover, divine protection in isolation teaches contentment. The chosen learn to rely on Allah for safety, comfort, and provision. They no longer measure security by the presence of people, but by the certainty of Allah's guidance. The heart becomes more resilient, anchored not in fleeting support, but in unwavering faith. This resilience is essential for the challenges that lie ahead. For the chosen must be able to navigate life without being destabilized by the unpredictability of people. Through this protection, Allah ensures that the soul is prepared to stand firm, guided by His light and safeguarded from unseen harm. This step also deepens trust. When the chosen witness the wisdom behind absence and separation, they begin to rely more fully on Allah. They understand that every closed door, every removed companion, and every moment of solitude carries purpose. They recognize that Allah's plan is perfect and that His protection is always present, even when it is invisible. This realization transforms fear into faith, uncertainty into confidence, and sorrow into acceptance. Ultimately, the third step is a profound reminder of Allah's care. Isolation is not punishment, neglect, or abandonment. It is divine protection, a sacred act of mercy, and a preparation for greater responsibility. The chosen are being nurtured in the quiet, shielded from harm, and trained to trust a wisdom beyond human comprehension. When this stage concludes, the heart emerges stronger, wiser, and more attuned to divine guidance, ready to face life with faith, clarity, and confidence in Allah's perfect plan. The fourth step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen is the purification of the heart. When the heart is surrounded by people, even those with good intentions, it can become distracted, influenced, and burdened with expectations, judgments, and subtle pressures. The soul begins to absorb the energies and flaws of others, often without realizing it. Isolation, in contrast, removes these external influences. Creates a sacred space where the heart can confront itself fully. It is in this solitude that the soul faces its hidden weaknesses, unresolved pain, and unspoken sins. This is a stage of reflection, reckoning, and cleansing. And it is both challenging and merciful. At first, this stage can feel uncomfortable and even painful. The heart may resist facing its own imperfections, preferring excuses, distractions, or the comfort of busyness. But Allah isolates the chosen precisely so that denial is no longer possible. In the quiet, there is no escape. The soul can no longer hide behind appearances, accomplishments, or the validation of others. Every thought, intention, and emotion comes into focus. The chosen begin to see themselves as they truly are, not as they wish to be seen. This clarity is essential, for transformation cannot begin until the truth is faced without fear or pretense. Purification in isolation also deepens sincerity. Acts of worship, dua, and devotion are no longer performed for recognition, praise, or societal approval. The chosen begin to turn inward, seeking only the pleasure of Allah. Every prayer, every moment of reflection, and every tear becomes authentic and deeply personal. The heart learns to seek Allah for His sake alone, and in doing so, the soul sheds layers of hypocrisy, doubt, and distraction. The chosen becomes spiritually honest, free from the chains of external expectation and deeply connected to divine guidance. This stage is also a process of emotional healing. Past hurts, disappointments, and unresolved conflicts often surface in isolation. The heart is given the opportunity to process pain fully, to release resentment, and to seek forgiveness. The chosen learn that healing cannot occur while constantly seeking validation or keeping up appearances. Solitude allows the heart to grieve, repent, and emerge renewed. In this cleansing, the soul sheds burdens that would otherwise hinder growth, making space for peace, contentment, and clarity of purpose. Another aspect of this step is the strengthening of moral and spiritual integrity. In solitude, the chosen confront temptations, selfish desires, and hidden weaknesses without distraction. Decisions are no longer influenced by fear of judgment or desire for approval. The heart is tested privately, and character is refined quietly. This refinement prepares the chosen to navigate life with wisdom, patience, and ethical consistency. The challenges faced in isolation are lessons in self-control, resilience, and faith, forming a foundation that cannot be shaken by external pressures. Ultimately, the fourth step of isolation transforms the heart into a vessel of purity and sincerity. What begins as solitude and discomfort becomes a sacred period of preparation. The chosen emerge from this stage not only spiritually cleansed, but emotionally strengthened, capable of navigating the world with a heart anchored in faith and integrity. Allah isolates the chosen to teach them that true power, peace, and resilience are born not in the crowd, but in the quiet moments of self-confrontation and divine connection. In this way, purification is both gentle and powerful. It reshapes the soul, strengthens the heart, and aligns the chosen with the divine path. Isolation is not abandonment. It is a sacred opportunity for the soul to be refined, healed, and prepared for the responsibilities, challenges, and blessings that lie ahead. And when the chosen step forward, they carry with them a heart unburdened, focused, and illuminated by the mercy and guidance of Allah. The fifth step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen is the cultivation of emotional and spiritual strength. In life, the heart often seeks comfort in people, places, and familiar routines. We rely on the presence, support, and validation of others to maintain balance and confidence. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows that true strength cannot depend on anything external. He isolates the chosen so that their hearts learn to stand firm, not because of anyone else, but because of Him. This stage is a training ground, where resilience, patience, and inner fortitude are developed in solitude. Isolation tests the heart. The chosen face moments of doubt, fear, and loneliness, and they are left with no one to lean on except Allah. It is in this struggle that character is forged. The heart learns endurance, the soul learns reliance, and the mind learns focus. Every trial, every quiet struggle becomes an opportunity to strengthen faith. The chosen discover that the greatest source of courage and stability lies not in the presence of companions, but in surrendering fully to Allah. This realization transforms weakness into power and dependence into confidence. This step also teaches emotional independence. The heart begins to understand that joy, peace, and contentment cannot be handed to us by others. They are cultivated internally through connection with Allah. The chosen learn to respond to challenges with patience rather than panic, to approach life with calm rather than chaos, and to trust the process rather than demand immediate comfort. Emotional strength is not the absence of struggle, it is the ability to remain steadfast in faith and purpose despite it. Through this isolation, the heart becomes resilient, able to navigate both hardship and blessing with grace and balance. Spiritual strength grows in tandem with emotional fortitude. In solitude, chosen refine their worship, strengthen their dua, and deepen their understanding of Allah's guidance. They are no longer distracted by the expectations or judgments of others, and their connection becomes intimate, sincere, and unshakable. This is the stage where the soul learns to draw sustenance from faith alone. Every prayer, every reflection, and every act of obedience strengthens the heart, preparing it for the responsibilities, challenges, and leadership that lie ahead. Another aspect of this step is learning to bear responsibility for one's own journey. The chosen discover that true growth cannot occur while constantly depending on others for direction, support, or validation. Isolation forces the heart to take ownership of its choices, actions, and spiritual development. It teaches accountability, patience, and perseverance. In this way, the chosen are prepared for a life where they will face trials, make decisions, and influence others with wisdom and integrity, all while remaining firmly grounded in faith. Finally, this stage emphasizes endurance and trust. The heart learns that trials, solitude, and even perceived abandonment are not signs of weakness or divine neglect. They are opportunities to build strength, resilience, and unwavering reliance on Allah. When the chosen emerge from this stage, they carry a heart that no longer trembles in the absence of people or the uncertainties of life. They have been trained to stand strong in their faith, confident in their purpose, and steadfast in their devotion. In this way, the fifth step of isolation transforms the chosen from dependent hearts into resilient souls. The solitude that once felt heavy becomes a training ground for strength. The challenges once feared become lessons in endurance, and the silence becomes a teacher of patience and faith. Allah isolates the chosen to prepare them to face life with courage, wisdom, and a heart firmly anchored in Him. And in this strength, the chosen are ready to step into the world, carrying light, guidance, and resilience that could only be forged in solitude. The sixth and final step in understanding why Allah isolates the chosen is the cultivation of intimacy with Him, the deep, unshakable connection that can only be formed in solitude. While the first 5 steps focused on reliance, clarity, protection, purification, and strength, this step reveals the ultimate purpose of isolation: to draw the heart closer to Allah, to make the chosen truly aware of His presence, guidance, and love. When the distractions of the world are removed and the noise of people fades, the heart begins to hear the whispers of the divine in ways it never could before. It is here, in the quiet, that the chosen discover that they were never truly alone. Allah was always near. Isolation allows the soul to recognize the richness of a relationship that is untainted by expectations or dependence. In the company of others, it is easy for the heart to forget Allah, to seek solace and approval in fleeting human presence, and to measure fulfillment by what the world can offer. But when Allah withdraws the external, the heart has no choice but to turn inward and upward. Dua becomes more heartfelt, worship becomes more alive, and every thought becomes an opportunity for connection with the Creator. The chosen learn to rely on Him for guidance, comfort, and understanding, discovering a depth of intimacy that no worldly presence can replicate. This stage also fosters profound trust. By now, the chosen have already experienced detachment, clarity, protection, purification, and strength. They have faced challenges, learned patience, and developed resilience. Isolation now teaches them to trust Allah not only in theory but in practice. In every loss, every silence, and every closed door, the heart begins to understand that His timing is perfect, His wisdom infinite, and His care constant. What once felt like abandonment now becomes a demonstration of divine mercy. Each moment of solitude, each absence, and each trial is seen not as a punishment but as a step closer to Allah. Through this intimacy, the chosen also cultivate awareness of divine guidance in every aspect of life. In solitude, the heart becomes attuned to the signs, lessons, and opportunities that are often overlooked. the presence of distraction. Decisions become deliberate, intentions pure, and actions aligned with purpose. The chosen begin to navigate life with a clarity that comes not from external counsel, but from an inner connection strengthened by constant reflection, prayer, and reliance on Allah. They learn that the heart's compass is most accurate when directed by the divine. Another profound element of this step is the deepened sense of contentment and inner peace. When the heart is anchored in Allah, the absence of people or worldly comforts no longer creates fear, anxiety, or desperation. The chosen learn to find joy, security, and fulfillment in the constancy of His presence. They discover that true companionship and love are not measured by physical proximity, but by spiritual closeness and devotion. This peace cannot be shaken by circumstances, criticism, or loss, for it is rooted in a connection that is eternal and unchanging. Finally, this stage prepares the chosen to re-enter the world transformed. When Allah brings people, opportunities, or responsibilities back into their lives, they return grounded, guided, and unwavering. Their hearts carry light that was forged in solitude, wisdom that was cultivated in reflection, and patience that was tempered by trials. They no longer seek validation from others, but are confident in their purpose, faithful in their actions, and steady in their faith. This intimacy with Allah allows them to engage with the world not as dependent souls, but as vessels of guidance, compassion, and strength. In essence, the sixth step is the crowning stage of isolation. It transforms what may have seemed like loneliness into sacred companionship, what seemed like absence into divine presence, and what felt like weakness into unshakable faith. The chosen emerge from this period not only prepared for life's challenges, but equipped to inspire, lead, and guide others with a heart that is anchored in Allah, a spirit that is resilient, and a soul that is illuminated by divine love. Allah isolates the chosen to teach him that ultimate fulfillment, peace, and purpose are found not in the approval of people, the comfort of company, or the noise of the world, but in the sacred, intimate relationship with Him. And when the chosen recognize this truth, they understand that every moment of solitude was a gift, every trial a lesson, and every absence a blessing. Isolation in this light is not a void, it is a sanctuary, a training ground, and a place where the heart learns to beat in harmony with Allah, carrying His light into every corner of life.